What's up, YouTube? SwooCube here with a long overdue, long time in the making video. This video that I'm going to cover today is going to be a discussion of my ultimate Pokemon Pocket physical draft cube. This, I believe, is probably the single most creative and fully formed original draft cube that I've ever come up with as a cube designer. I'm very, very proud of it. And the reason this video has taken me so long to put together is because I thought, of all my videos, this one is the one that I should edit and I should script and I should make shiny so that it attracts more viewers. But my life is just not one that allows for that. So I spun my wheels for a little while. I've done nothing. I don't have time to edit. I don't have time to learn how to do all that stuff. So you're going to get a raw, one take, no edit discussion of the Pokemon Pocket Ultimate Draft Cube. That was a long intro. So what is this thing? If you have been following my channel, and specifically the Pokemon Pocket physical content, you know that I have created a couple different draft cubes using Pokemon Pocket proxies. There's a 90 card or an 90 card draft cube. Yeah. 135 card draft cube, both of which use Mutant Evolution, which is a solution that works to allow Pokemon, which is a game that is not designed for draft or limited play, to be used for limited play. But it changes the game. It changes the character of the game. It changes the flow of the game. It changes the strategy of the game. I enjoy it. It's a lot of fun. But it's not the same thing. And I wanted to make the same thing. I wanted to make Pokemon Pocket draftable with the actual core rules of the game. And the reason I chose to do this is because I have young kids who love playing physical Pokemon Pocket. I started by making them a bunch of different decks. I'd have, half a dozen decks and we'd sit down and we'd play, and we started doing it almost every night, and my kids love it. But they get tired of the decks, so I'd build more decks, and then I'd build more decks. And I realized I'm spending all this time building decks when what I really want to do is build a cube. So I built a cube, and I play this cube both with my adult board game group and with my young children. And it serves both purposes. This thing's kind of a monster, but I'm going to walk you through what it is, how it works, some of the custom features that I've designed to support it. And if you want more content on it, I can break down even further the contents of the cube and things like that. So, brief lay of the land here. Over here in this corner, we have the draft portion of the cube. This is the items and supporters here. We have the Pokemon portion of the cube. A little over 100 unique Pokemon here. Now, this is where you get to kind of the key operation of how this works. Pokemon's a game that is difficult to make work for draft because of the combo-centric nature of the gameplay. If you want to have you gotta find something. Give me a stage. Yeah, okay. If you want to have Decidueye, you have to also have Rowlet and the other one, Dartrix. There you go. That means that to make this work, you need to make 3 different distinct draft picks, right? Well, maybe, if that's how you build your cube. Mutant Evolution is a way to get around that because any Pokemon can evolve from any Pokemon. But like I said, that changes gameplay. So how do you make a draft work where you draft giant, combo lines of cards, but not have to make it so clunky where you have to make multiple draft picks to get them? Well, you just simply include the line toppers. Now, in the case of a basic EX like Passimian, it's no big deal. Draft a Passimian, you get the other Passimian for free, and there you go. Now, with Blastoise EX, you draft Blastoise EX, you get the other Blastoise EX for free, along with both Wartortles and both Squirtles. All of those other cards that you get for free are up here, sorted by color. It's a lot of cards. This whole entire cube probably contains close to 900 distinct cards that I proxied, cut, sleeved. It's a lot of work. But that's how to make this work. So in the draft process, there's, over 100 different and complete Pokemon lines, right? Crocodile, Ambipom, Statland, one of my favorites, right? From all the areas of the game so far, curated to be both powerful, interesting, and allow for the most creativity possible. I'm specifically excluding some of the most efficient Pokemon. Think like the Sill Valleys of the world, the what's the Sun Lion, the Metal Sun Lion called? That one. And like Stoke Charizard. Cards that are just like super, super efficient. You can rare candy them out, or do they just attack for 100 on turn 2 with 2 energies. This cube's not that. It's a little bit downtuned from there, but it does include quite a few powerful cards, right? Garchomp, Tapu Koko, like just like my favorite cards in the game, basically. The draft process that we use, I will illustrate here in a minute. But let me first just kind of finish talking about how this thing works, because there's a couple other interesting features that I've implemented to allow for maximum gameplay in the smallest draft pool possible. So this cube specifically is designed to support 2 players, right? This is a 2-player draft cube. Lots of cards. It's like a board game. It's a huge box. I've got some mini games in here and some other things I'll talk about later, but the bulk of the cube is really just the draft portion, the extra Pokemon, and the extra trainers. Now, there are cards that are available to be used in deck building that are actually not included in the draft pool. Those cards include some of the specific trainers from the first set, like Brock, Barry, Blaine, Koga, Volkner, etc. Right? Cards that care about specific Pokemon or specific types of Pokemon that are very narrow, maybe shouldn't be drafted, but are available. But they're not available for free. So this is where the shop feature comes in. This cube is a shop cube, which is a concept that I kind of was inspired by. The main TCG has a cube community that do a lot of things like this, and that's kind of what sparked my interest. Now, the shop cube, the shop is basically it's a shop where you can buy cards after the draft with resources. Now, the resources that I have designed, this is a custom card that I designed, as kind of just like the shop menu. These different stickers that I've placed on cards are different prices for what those cards cost from the shop. And it's the more tickets, the more powerful the card is basically the idea. I allow players to use shop tickets, another custom card that I've designed. These are available in the draft, but they're also given, each player gets one at the start of the draft, and you can draft more, and you can use these to buy both extra Pokemon that are not included in the draft and extra trainers that are not included in the draft. It's also kind of a way I can balance more and include more powerful cards in the game. So like usually when you draft a Pokemon, you get all Pokemon of that line, 2 copies of each, right? So you draft Charizard. I have Genetic Apex Charizard in this cube. So you get 2 Charizard EXs, 2 Charmanders, 2 Charmeleons, right? 1 draft pick gets you all 6 of those Pokemon, which you can use to build your decks. But there are other cards like, let me think of a big offender. Giratina EX, right? That card's pretty ubiquitously powerful. Some might say too strong, but it's a lot of fun. It allows for some really creative deck building. I've included it in this cube. You draft the first copy of Giratina EX, but if you want the second copy, you have to pay a shop ticket for it. And you have very limited, like at most the player's gonna have 3 or 4 of those things. So it's a pretty steep cost. But that is a way that I use to add an economy to the draft that is a way to balance deck building and allow for the inclusion of more powerful cards that aren't strictly balanced with the rest. So how does the draft work? Well, I take the entire trainer portion of the cube. It is 65 cards. There are 65 trainers. Some of the most powerful cards like Dawn, Pokemon, like most of the big effects are in duplicate, right? There's 2 of them in the draft pool. Some of them, the more specific ones like Irida, there's 1 of them and you can buy more from the shop. And there's a few weaker items kind of thrown in here as well. Like this one, Big Masalada, or Malasada as my kids say. Oh, it is Malasada. Wow, I've been pronouncing it wrongly, but pronouncing it right. Anyway, right, Mythical Slabs. Kind of weak, kind of specific, but there's 1 of them. This entire thing gets shuffled up as part of the draft pool. Then I also deal out 25. This is 55 cards, not 65 cards. Excuse me. Anyway, I deal out 20 something Pokemon. 24. The total cards is 90 that I include. So it's 55 plus 26. So there's 9 cards left. Those 9 cards that I include are 4 shop tickets. And there are some other effects that I've also designed that I include. So we got shop tickets. And then we have Wonder Picks, which is a custom effect. Basically, after the draft, you can kind of do a little simulated Wonder Pick to get additional Pokemon into your pool, your deck building pool. So I usually put in 3 of those. And I also do a trade. I'm pretty proud of those graphics. I think they look pretty cool. Basically, you can trade 3 for 1, EX or non-EX. Think of it as like a Settlers of Catan trading port, right? And I also include a booster pack, where you can just open a 3-card pack of Pokemon, specifically Pokemon that were not drafted or dealt out in the draft pool. So these 9 cards, these are draft effects, both the booster pack, the trade, the Wonder Pick, and the shop tickets are all shuffled up with the Pokemon and the trainers, and are laid out. I'm getting kind of cluttered here, so I'm just going to clear this off. I said this was a 1-take video. Knocking my arm over. Whoop. So that's what you're getting. No edits. But for those who are sticking with me, I thank you. All right, so this is all shuffled up and dealt out, and I'm going to kind of just be a little cheat ski with this because I don't feel like shuffling live. All right. All these are shuffled randomly and then dealt out into a 3x3 grid. So that is an example of 1 round of draft choices. Now, as you know, one player will pick a row or column. So let's say I want this one. I like that booster pack and that shop ticket. The next player will then choose to either take a 2-card column or a 3-card row. That's it. Rinse, repeat 9 times or 10 times. So at the end of it, you will have drafted about 30 cards, which is enough to build 2 decks. Now you'll say, oh, but aren't decks 20 cards each? Isn't that 40 cards? Well, yes. However, remember, every Pokemon gets you the entire line. So Infernape EX, you get the other Infernape EX and the under evolutions for free. So you can build an Infernape EX deck basically with just like 1 pick and then from trainers. I did not include in the draft Pokeballs and Professor Researches. Those are off to the side and are freely available. Every deck always has 2 of those things, so why waste draft picks on it? So you get those for free. You get 30 cards. From the 30 cards, we build 2 decks. And then with whatever shop tickets you have, you can buy extra Pokemon from the shop. You can also buy extra trainers from the shop to flesh out your decks. And then we proceed to play. And I'm telling you how I play with my adult group. With my kid groups, with my kids, when I play with my kids, we usually just, I ask my daughter, hey, what Pokemon do you want to play with today? And she'll tell me. Usually it's Dragonite EX. She calls it Dragonite XT. So I build her a Dragonite EX deck, and then I pick some measly deck that will always lose to that deck, and we play. And it's good. She's learning how to read and learning to do math and having a ton of fun. And it's great memories. So that is kind of the flyover of how this cube functions. I do have some specific mini games that are not actually Pokemon Pocket, but are Pokemon related, like Energy Match, Pokemon. I call it Pokemon Safari, but it's an official alternate play format that the Pokemon companies put out, and I forget what the name of it is. But basically, I think it's PokeCatch. So I have a variant of that with some custom cards that I made that I can talk about in a separate video. Basically, all sorts of stuff. I've got kids that range from age 6 that can read and do math to age 3 that are still learning their colors. And they all want to play Pokemon, so I've got options for all of them. These are Dice Encounters, right? There's a coin for each color, which I came in these tins. These are like tins from, I guess, 151 or something. It was Scarlet Violet 151. But tins, damage counters, and then I track dice with colored energy. I use the official color G. Like, everything works in gameplay exactly the way it works in the game. So if you build a 2-color energy deck, you have to do a coin flip to figure out what your energy is each turn. It's basically the game, right? You draft cards, you build 2 decks that use the rules of the game, and usually when I play with my adult group, we are jamming 2 or 3 best of 3 series is between those decks. And the whole process, from the draft to the deck build to the games, usually takes about an hour and a half or 2 hours if you're sitting down and do the whole shebang. When I'm playing with my kids, I usually just whip together 2 decks. We play a game before bed, put the cube away. The whole thing is maybe 30 minutes, maybe 20. And that's it. We love it. It's a lot of fun. This is a simple game. It's a very simple game, but it is very much a trading card game. There's strategy, there's depth. The deck building process is fun and interesting. And I've tried to allow for a lot of creativity in the way I've designed the cube, and I think that shines through. And specifically, the draft format is very gamified in a way that I find very, very interesting and fun, and so does my group. It's a totally unique thing, and it's really cool. So, yeah, I'm going to wrap this video. I think I've shared most of what I can fit into one video without kind of diving into the list itself and like the mini games that I've included, or maybe like more specifics about my design choices. If that is interesting to you, if you want to know more, if you want to know the specific list and you think you might want to build this, just let me know in the comments, and I will work on either doing another video with the list itself, or I'll share a Google Doc or something. I don't have a spreadsheet for this. It's just time, right? I don't have time to edit this video. I don't have time to put a spreadsheet together for this cube. When a new set comes out, I usually sort it and make changes. There's a set coming out in a couple days. I'm looking forward to doing that. Looks pretty cool. Johto finally. So yeah, thank you very much for watching. Thanks for sticking around and watching this very lo-fi niche video. Please like, comment, subscribe, and yeah, support me in that way. Really appreciate it. One thing that I think is pretty cool and is worth pointing out. So, okay, what do we have here? Yeah, we'll talk about with water. So in the side copies of the Pokemon, I have some hidden gems, right? Like Blastoise EX. Blastoise EX is in the draft. The draft copy is designated with that silver sticker, which is when I'm sorting the cube back, I know where to put them, right? I keep the draft copies separate from the extra copies. But I also include a copy of regular Blastoise, because sometimes, specifically in a format where you're building decks with limited choices, sometimes you might want to have a copy of Blastoise in that Blastoise EX deck, and that might be the best move for your build. I also allow for, like here, Primarina. So basic Primarina is in the draft pool, but Primarina EX is available to be purchased. Now, Primarina EX is, on its face, a more powerful Pokemon than Blastoise EX. Pretty significantly, I think. But I balance that because in order to be able to play with Primarina, you have to pay 1 shop ticket per copy. So if you want 2 Primarina EXs in your Primarina deck that you've drafted, you got to pay 2 shop tickets to get them. Or you can pay 1 shop ticket and just get 1, right? It's a way to balance. I actually include all of the starters from this generation in the cube, and they're all pretty strong, and they're available in that way, right? You can draft the basic one, the non-EX one, and you can pay for the EX one if you want. Now, do you have there's always more cards that you want to buy than you can buy. I've made the economy pretty restrictive on purpose to promote creativity and prevent decks from just becoming the same thing every single game. But this, including, alternate Pokemon also opens the door for something else that I've done, which is very simply to relax the rules with region-specific Pokemon. So in the game, right, Golem and Alolan Golem are like completely different Pokemon lines. But in this draft cube, I allow Alolan Golem to be an alternate line topper for Golem, which can evolve from just a basic Graveler, just to create a little bit more interesting deck building. Sometimes you might even want to have a split of the two, right? But again, you got to pay for it. You got to pay for a ticket if you're going to do some of that spicy stuff. So Same thing with like Lucario is the base copy in the draft, but you can pay for Lucario EX if you want to include it. So there's a lot more gameplay and creativity with the Pokemon available jammed into these extra copies. I call this the evolution shop. A lot more of that than just with the 100 or so Pokemon lines that are available in the draft. There's a whole lot of gameplay crammed in here. It's very, very cool. So enough on that. I just broached the 20-minute mark. Thank you so much for sticking with me. Have a wonderful day. Be blessed, and I will be back with more content sometime.